and welcome to the second episode of the podcast. I am alone for this one again. I'm sorry, Brody's been busy and dealing with some stuff, so I will be on my own for this episode, but the show goes on and he'll join us whenever he can, so my apologies for that. But today we're going to be talking about the hot takes that you guys sent me on our Instagram page. If you haven't followed our Instagram page, I'll leave that in the description below so you guys can go follow that. But besides hot takes, we will be talking about some rumors around the league, some injury stuff, some COVID protocol stuff, and then some surprising teams, and then on to game picks that I have picked for today. So starting first with the hot takes that you guys sent. You guys sent a couple good ones, so I will be going over them right now. So first one is from AJ Moreno. He says, not a hot take, but more of a request. Talk about Lamell Ball. So Lamell Ball has, since his rookie year, has been very surprising. I expected him coming into the league to take a lot of time to develop, but he came out of the gate swinging. He was doing everything on both sides of the ball pretty well, which was surprising to me personally. And same thing for this year. I believe first game against the Pacers, he dropped a 30-piece. He's just a really good player, man, which is surprising to say already. But he's a really good point guard for the Hornets, and he can do it all. He can rebound, pass the ball. He can score at all levels, which is all the skill sets you need for a great point guard. So I'm sure he's going to have a great year. He could probably average, it might be a little bit of a reach, but I think he can average 20 and 10 this year if he really keeps up his consistency. I think he's that good of a player already, and I think he's going to be a pretty good point guard for the Hornets, and he'll probably stay on the Hornets for a long time to come. So Lamell Ball, he's a great player and exciting point guard to watch. Next, I assume this is kind of a troll, but Ryan Judge says Jakob Poeltl will have a better season than Joel Embiid, which is obviously not going to happen at all, which is self-explanatory in itself. Joel is personally my top big man in the league right now. He's light years ahead of Jakob Poeltl, so I really don't need to talk more about that, but Jakob Poeltl is definitely not even close in a million years. Not even close to Joel's skill set at all, and will never even touch that at all. So that was a great hot take. Next, by Paul. Shout out to Paul, my editor. He says LeBron is overrated, which obviously, since I'm a Laker fan, I disagree with, but I can see from other fans' perspectives, because I compare LeBron to the coverage that Tom Brady gets. Tom Brady is legit talked about on every football broadcast, whether it even has the Buccaneers or not. They're always talking about Tom Brady and his accomplishments, but I can see that because LeBron's kind of like the Tom Brady of the NFL, or the NBA, sorry, where whenever LeBron does something, every social media page like Bleacher Report, House of Highlights, they're all like, this is LeBron at year 19. That's so crazy. And I get that. That can be annoying for non-Laker fans. So I can see that certain aspect of his highlights being posted, which aren't necessarily insane, but I can see the criticism of LeBron because social media pages post everything LeBron whenever he does something, so I understand that. But at the end of the day, LeBron's one of the greatest players to ever play the game, so I think there's no really debating that. But I think he can get annoying in terms of social media attention. Next, Cade Stroud says Lakers will lose in the Western Conference Finals to the Warriors, and Warriors win the championship against the Bucks. So the Warriors have been coming out of the gates really hot They're the only team with one loss currently. And a lot of people are talking about if the Warriors are really a championship contending team. And personally, I don't think so. This might be something that bites me back in playoff time, but I just their roster doesn't scream championship to me, honestly. They're a really good team, and I know in the playoffs, if Clay is what he comes out to be and Wiseman gets integrated well and he becomes a valuable asset for them. But I just don't think the Warriors honestly make it to the finals. I think they'll have a very good run depending where they finish in seeding terms. I think they can push a Western Conference Finals if they really get that far, but honestly, I don't think they're at the championship aspect yet in terms of their season. I still need to see how Clay looks and how they integrate Wiseman when he comes back. So they still got some pieces to work with, but I'll hold off on the championship talk for the Warriors at this point. Next, Jackson Bates says Clippers still a top 10 team, which is definitely a hot topic. I definitely do not view them as a top 10 team, at least at this point. There are a lot more better teams right now currently. You got Milwaukee, Philly, Miami, Brooklyn, I'd argue Chicago. And then in the West, you got Golden State, Utah, Phoenix, Denver, and the Lakers, assuming the Lakers are going to be a competent team moving forward. So, coming from a Clippers fan, that is a very, very hot take. But who knows? Maybe you guys are built different and you guys go absolutely insane in the regular season without Kawhi, and Paul George just goes bonkers and has an MVP type year. But right now, as constructed, I do not see you guys as a top 10 team. And then lastly, we got Sean says Boston will trade Jalen Brown. It's kind of an interesting take, to say the least. This morning, it came out that Ben Simmons the Celtics are interested in Ben Simmons, which is definitely interesting to hear. And the Sixers want Jalen Brown in return for Ben Simmons. And honestly, if I'm the Celtics, I do not take that deal at all. Even though you guys are kind of struggling to figure it out in the beginning of the year, you guys can't jump ship already. Jalen Brown's been really solid for you guys, unless you can get like a top 10, 15 player in exchange for Jalen Brown. I just don't see the Celtics trading Jalen Brown this early, especially when he's putting up these insane numbers. But I wouldn't be shocked, honestly, if they were to trade Jalen Brown, because I feel like the Celtics are starting to get to the point in their organization where their fans are getting antsy and wants their team to make some kind of move, because with Danny Ainge in office for a pretty long amount of time, he was always reluctant to give up those stockpile of picks to go get the superstar that their fans wanted. And honestly, I think the Celtics could press a panic button a little too soon. Doesn't mean trading Jalen Brown's a great move to make, but if you can get the right player to fit alongside Jason Tatum, I can see them potentially making a trade. But for right now, I say you hold on to Jalen and not make any rash decisions. So thank you guys for the hot takes. Those are all the hot takes I got from you. I appreciate it. I'll look forward to interacting with you guys more as the show rolls on. But now moving on to what I was just talking about. Ben Simmons reportedly in contact with the Celtics. The Celtics are interested in him. And as I said, they want Jalen Brown in return. Honestly, The Sixers are still asking way too much for Ben Simmons. I know I'm one of the few people I think Ben Simmons is a really good player, even with his struggles in terms of his offensive game. I still think he's a really good player, and he's worth a good amount, but not at the upper echelon like the Sixers are wanting him to be. So I don't think he goes to Boston, at least not right now. I think teams are gonna wait until Ben starts playing to boost his trade value. I just don't think Philly trades him, at least for a good amount of the year. So it'll be interesting to keep up on this Ben Simmons situation and who's willing to take the risk of bringing him on their team. It's going to be interesting to see who trades for him nonetheless. So definitely something to keep an eye on moving forward. The Warriors have been another streaking hot team to begin the year, as I mentioned in the beginning in the hot takes segment. People are quick to say that the Warriors are back in championship contention. I don't see it yet. I still want to see how Clay and Wiseman get integrated into the system. I just don't think that they're at that level yet, honestly. But hey, they're off to a really good start to begin the year, and it's something to definitely look out for as the year rolls on. But as I said, I don't see them at that championship level that people are quick to say. Like Stephen A says he's already picking them to win the championship, which I think is ridiculous, quite honestly. I get it. Steph's been playing really well, and all the other pieces have been playing well alongside him. But to call him your championship pick already is kind of outrageous to me, honestly. But that's just my opinion. I think they still got some ways to go with Clay and Wiseman still out, so we'll see how that works out at the end of the year. So some injury news. Colin Sexton torn his meniscus in his left knee. There we go. Torn meniscus in his left knee, which is a huge blow to the Cavs. Off to a good start at 7-4, coming off an insane Ricky Rubio game where he hits 8 threes in MSG against the Knicks and pull off a huge road win. I was watching that game yesterday, and it was just absolutely insane to watch Ricky Rubio just drill 8 out of 9 threes on the Knicks, which if I were a Knicks fan, I would be hating life right now, to say the least, if Ricky Rubio was dropping almost 40 points on my team at home. So the Cavs, a really devastating blow for Colin Sexton in his contract year too, I believe. So who knows if he'll make it back for the year. There's still no timetable given for Sexton, but it's definitely a huge blow to the Cavs team that is off to a solid start. And they're without Markkanen and Kevin Love still, so this team's going to have to pick it up without 3 really key players for them. So it'll be interesting to watch for however long Sexton's out for. Next in NBA news, you got Joel Embiid in the COVID protocol. The Sixers have been getting killed by the COVID protocol recently with losing Tobias and Matisse Thybulle, and now they're losing their best player in Joel Embiid for at least a couple games, as he has to wait 10 days in the protocol. So that means some Andre Drummond minutes, which honestly is not a bad idea or a bad thing for Sixer fans, even though from a Laker fan last year when Andre was with us, he was not great, to say the least, in terms of playoffs. But I think for the Sixers to have Andre in the starting role for a couple games won't be too drastic. I think you guys will still be competitive. But obviously losing Joel Embiid is a really, really big hurt. But hey, you guys beat Portland without Joel and Tobias, so you still got some hope, just I think, with Joel missing a couple games. So I think you guys will be fine. The Raptors have been a surprising team to begin the year. They recently got Pascal back, which is a huge plus for them. And Scotty Barnes has been taking that huge leap already in his offensive game that most people didn't expect. They thought he would take a little while to get his offensive game going, which I was one of those people as well. I thought he was just going to be a defensive maestro to begin his NBA career as his offensive game develops. But hey, he's looked really good. Defense looks insane. Can rebound the ball really well. And his shooting's honestly not too bad. And his driving and finishing is really good as well. I think the Raptors have a really solid team. And they could honestly push for a playoff spot as they're playing right now. Their defense has looked really good. Their offense could be a little spotty, but I think their defense is going to be something that carries them throughout the year. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're pushing for a lower end playoff spot. But the Raptors are a fun team to watch in terms of their defense, but they're definitely a team to look out for as the year rolls on. And now, for everyone's favorite team to talk about, the Los Angeles Lakers. They play tonight against the Charlotte Hornets, as the Hornets came off a loss against the Clippers last night, where the Clippers went on a 20-0 run to finish the game, which was insane. The Charlotte Hornets were up 9, I believe, with like 6 minutes left or something like that. And they just got blown out of the water by the Clippers in the end of that game, which was kind of insane to watch. I was watching the game because I expected it to be a close one, but the Hornets offense went really dry to end that game, and they end up losing. And now they're a game below 500 after starting off the year really well, and now they play back-to-back against the Lakers. Obviously, no LeBron still. AD is probable after his stomach issues and his thumb still a little bit jacked up, but he'll give it a go tonight. And a little preview for this game. I think it's going to be a really testy one, honestly. Westbrook, if you guys haven't heard, he went 1 for 13 against the Blazers, which is, I feel like I'm always talking badly about the Lakers at this point because they're just really hard to watch at this point, but I keep watching. They're my team, sadly, but we're 5-5 right now, and I really hope we can pick up a much-needed morale boost win tonight against the Hornets because we really need it. After that Portland game, that was just huge plummet for our morale. So I think we really need this one tonight to beat the Hornets, and I think it'll be a really close one. The Hornets are a really exciting team, young team. They're going to push the pace on us. It's going to be interesting to see how we keep up with them during this game in terms of transition defense and closing out on their shooters, and how we guard Lamell Ball and Miles Bridges, two of their most explosive players. And we've had a lot of trouble containing teams' best point guards like Damian and Curry, Chris Paul, people like that. Haven't really found a way to stop yet on defense, so it'll be interesting to see how we handle guarding Miles Bridges and Lamell Ball tonight. But fingers crossed we're able to pull this one out tonight and be 6-5 when the night's all said and done. That'd be very, very needed. Thanks, Lakers. Now, moving on to the game picks. We got New York Knicks at Philly with Joel Embiid out and no Tobias. I think the Knicks go into Philly and pick up a good win. I think it'll be close. I think the Philly team is still pretty solid. They got good role players with no Tobias or Embiid, so I think it'll be a close one, but I just think the Knicks, with their whole team intact, they'll be able to pull this one out. Next game, the Nets against Chicago. This was a game that I had a hard time predicting, honestly, because I think this game is going to be really, really fun to watch. But I'm going to take the Bulls here because of their defense and they're at home. Their home crowd's been really wild to begin the year. So I think this will be a very interesting game to watch. Probably game of the night, to be honest. But I just think the Bulls defense is going to be able to slow down the Nets at least enough to win. So I got Chicago in this one. Timberwolves at Memphis. Timberwolves have been really struggling. They blew a 20-point lead to the Clippers at home, and they've been sliding a little bit, which feels like always happens every year where they start off first few games really strong and then they just fall off a cliff, and it's kind of like a deja vu moment for them right now. But Memphis at home with Ja still doing Ja things, I got to take Memphis here because Timberwolves have just been struggling to put things together. In terms of their offense has looked pretty bad to begin the year. I just got to take Memphis here. And then next we got the Pelicans at Dallas. I got to take Dallas. The Pelicans have not shown any bright spots really for me to take them in any games right now. And plus, Luka has been insane with that game winner against Boston, which a fading three double teamed was just, that's just Luka, man. It's crazy to watch. But I got Dallas. Pelicans are trash. I'm sorry. They're just abominable right now. Next, Miami at Denver. I think this will be another good one, but I got to take Miami. Just their defense is going to be really, really good all year. I feel like they have to finish top 5, in my opinion, with all the pieces that they have. And I think they'll guard Jokic pretty well with Bam. And no one else on the Denver team has really picked it up. We all expected Michael Porter Jr. to pick up the slack with Jamal out, but he hasn't really put up any shots really or seemed aggressive in any games. So I just got to take Miami in this one. Atlanta at Golden State. I got Golden State for this one for the reason that they're at home. They rarely ever lose at home. It's just such a hard place to play. And the Warriors have looked really solid. I think they deserve to be the best team in the league right now. They definitely look like it. There's not much to say about this one. The Warriors are just a better team than the Hawks, I think. And it's always a hard place to play at Golden State, so I got the Warriors. Last game of the night, we got Phoenix at Sacramento. I'm going to be taking the Suns for this one. The Suns have looked a little sloppy to begin the year, but at Sacramento, I think Sacramento is just a lesser team than them. It might be a little close, but I think Phoenix will be able to pull it out when it's all said and done. Not too much to say about this game. Booker will probably have a solid game. Chris Paul will have a solid game. Aiden will have a solid game because Kings aren't that great defensively, so I think the Suns will be just fine in this one. And that is why I am taking the Suns as the last pick of the night. So that'll do it for this episode. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, follow our Instagram page down below in the description. Episode 3 of this podcast will happen on Wednesday, so keep a lookout for that. But yeah, this has been episode 2 of the podcast. I hope you guys enjoy, and see you guys next time. Peace.